What's going on? 14, 11, dropping. This is my very first Facebook, or no, sorry, not Facebook, YouTube live. I've done Facebook Live. Never been on live YouTube, so it could be a hot mess. Anyways, thanks for dropping in. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. Doing a strength workout today. Lucky enough to have the home gym going on here. And normally I post my running stuff. I haven't posted a video for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. It's been ridiculously cold where I am in Canada. Minus 26 today, so there's no way. A, I'm not running outside when it's minus 26. And even if I was, there's no way I could take my camera out and capture that. So there's no filming going on outside. But if you're in America, it's like minus 15 Fahrenheit. So we're almost at that point where it's the same temperature as it is Fahrenheit as Celsius, which is cold as balls. So if you have never followed my page before, it's called FUDNF. So for all of you runners out there, ultra runners, DNF means did not finish. And the FU part is pretty self-explanatory. I've been a long-time marathoner, and as I'm getting older, I've been doing more ultra marathoning. I've been getting into that for the last couple of years. And I've never had DNFs until I got into ultra marathoning. So very humbling experience. Hey, Rory. Very humbled to be in the ultra marathoning, and so FUDNF is really sort of my journey into that. And so on my channel, I share a lot of my running stuff. Obviously, do sort of daily shorts, pep talk. This is my very first time going live, so this might be a hot mess. This might be no fun. I don't know. We'll see. Just trying to share my journey along the way. So if you're a runner, let me know. Hello from California. Hey, California. California is, I was to say, it's not so great down there either. Like, I don't know how close you are to the fires, but I would rather be in California than Canada right now because it is freaking cold. Hey, Miss, I always forget, Missing Mimi, I see. Hello, running friend. I know you're cold where you are. I see your videos with the snow and it's BS. Today I'm doing an arm workout. I kind of do strength about 4 days a week. I love pushing weights. Not a lot of it's for running purpose. Some of it is. A lot of it's just aesthetics, staying strong. Yeah, runner here. I know you are. And a crazy one too, getting out in the cold. It's cold here, man. What weight do you find most helpful for running? I'm a really bad person to ask that because I tend to lift. I'm not super strong, I'm not super big, but I tend to do more like functional training when I'm doing strength work. So I'll train 4 days a week. I'll do chest and back one day, arms one day, shoulders one day, and then maybe a fourth day of the week I'll do chest again, and a couple times a week I'll do abs and push-ups in there too. So I tend to push more weight than I probably should. I know I got in shit one time from my running coach. I used to have a coach quite a few years ago, and she always gave me heck because I was in the gym too often. I've always loved just pushing weights and strength training. So it's probably not functional. I always find if I do too much legs, deadlifting and squats and lunges and stuff like that, I find because of the mileage I put on, I tend to get hurt more often. So I don't do a lot of functional training for running, which is probably a miss, but I'm going to be 50 this year. So I'm doing a lot of just strength, just staying strong in the core, strong overall. So anyways, that's kind of my workout routine. What are you guys doing for working out? Are you doing much strength? I know some runners don't do any. What are you guys doing? I'm going to do a set. Yeah, I definitely don't overdo it. I think that's something runners we tend to do is overtrain, and I'm guilty. I feel if I'm not working, I get stir crazy. So I definitely probably train enough. I train 4 strength workouts, 6 running workouts, so 10 workouts a week. So quite a bit. Probably too much. But what else are you gonna do? Especially when you're freezing outside. I was saying earlier, it's minus 26 here. It's brutal. It's a brutal day outside. This whole week's gonna be super cold. I'm lucky I'm heading to the coast next week, so might get away from a little bit of this garbage weather because it's gonna be here for a bit. But anyways, it's my first YouTube Live, so I probably don't know how to do this. I probably suck at YouTube Live, but love putting out content, love chatting. I love having conversations too and learning from other runners too, because I've been running for 20 plus years, but I'm kind of new to the ultra marathoning world. Lots to learn there, and I'm just trying to share some tips along the way. Nothing else, just document it for my own benefit. So yeah, horrible. How cold is it where you are? Probably not minus 26. It's a weird thing. I know, it is a weird thing. "30 degrees, feels like 19 with the wind chill." And so yeah, you're all right then. You're above zero. It's minus 15 Fahrenheit if you're in the US. Here, minus 26. Sucks bad. There's a point where I don't love winter running. I hate it. I'm gonna retire to Costa Rica one day, but I hate being outside when it's cold. But there is a line. I will go out when it's super cold, but when the workout becomes sort of sacrifice, when the benefit of the workout is gone, like I'm all about getting out in the snow and the cold and all that. But if you can't get the quality and the intended benefit of workout, then I retreat to my treadmill, which is right behind me here. I absolutely hate running on treadmills. Can't stand it. So I will go out and suffer if I have to get on the treadmill. But yeah, this week's like a treadmill week, which in some ways is like mental toughness too, like being on the hamster wheel. I freaking hate it, but that's what we got to do this week. So anyways, I do, like in the mornings, I tend to do my runs. After work, I hit the gym. Like I say, I'm 4 days a week, I'll do strength. I don't know. Depends on the week, if I'm traveling and stuff like that. But for the most part, end of day, do the gym, and then early mornings get the runs in, because I find at the end of the day, I just can't get my runs. I'm too tired by that time. So how much are you doing for strength? How many times a week are you doing it? Four times a week, but only arms, and I don't have a home gym. Yeah, I know the rowing machine's good. I'm lucky I've got the home gym, because it sucks to have to go to the gym, especially this time of year when all these people with New Year's resolutions fill up the gyms. And I used to like that though, when I used to go to the gym and not have this at home. I'd love sitting in the gym in January, February, because I could just watch the people just slowly fade off. All these people with good intentions that at the end of January, February, they're gone. And then the people that are are still in it, the grinders, they're still there February, March. So I always found that motivating. I also found when you work out at a gym, you get more motivation by sort of being around other people. You can't slack off when there's other people around. You're more efficient too. I find at the home gym, I can kind of take my time a little bit. I got the TV, and so I sometimes take longer than I want to in here, but it's nice having it. I'd rather do that than have to get dressed, go somewhere else and do all the rigmarole. So that's my preference. Taking about 90 seconds after every set here just to keep this rolling. Doing arms today. What are you guys training for? Any races coming up? Yeah, you have to find moves that keeps you motivated. Whatever it takes, right? What are you guys training for? Any races, any big things, any big bucket lists in 2025 you're trying to tick off? For me, I've got 2 races this year. I've got the Tahoe 200 miler in Tahoe, obviously. Run around the Lake Tahoe. That's coming up in June. That's kind of my primary race this year. I turned 50 in 6-8 weeks, somewhere in that end of March, whatever that is. And so that's kind of a bucket list for me. So Tahoe 200, I entered the lottery last year, didn't think I would get in. And my name got drawn, which is holy crap, it's time to get to work. So I've been setting this up for a while. I've got enough time to kind of get amped up for it. And then at the end of the year, there's a race in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada called Lost Soul. There's a 100K, there's a 50, 100K, and a 100-mile race there. I've done the 100K twice. First time I DNF'd, second time last year I DNF'd, and it's no excuses, but one of the excuses I had was this year, the temperature was like 38 degrees Celsius, over 40 degrees in some points of the valley. It was brutal. I think 65% of the entire field didn't finish the race. And so I missed it, and it's a Western States qualifier. So if you're familiar with the Ultramarathon World, Western States 100 is kind of like the granddaddy of ultramarathoning, and one I want to get into one day. And so I'm trying to use that race as my qualifier. So the cutoff times are pretty aggressive. So I've got my ass kicked there 2 years in a row. So I'm going to go back and get revenge. So yeah, so it's definitely on the bucket for this year is that to go back. So get ready for the 200 miler in June, be super fit. Hopefully then by September, when I go to Lethbridge for Lost Soul, I shouldn't get my ass kicked as bad. We'll see. Half marathons, take a few years to build up and then do an ultra. Yeah. You can do a half, you can do an ultra. There's a point where I think this becomes mental. You got to have the foundation for sure, but there's this thing I always love. It's called the rule of 40. It's like the 40% rule is where your brain will quit when it thinks you're 40% finished, and it's your brain's only job is to like save you and protect you from getting hurt. And so when your brain thinks you're at capacity, it starts to shut you down. And that's how I kind of got into these ultras and marathoning, is like pushing what you believe is to be that limit. Every time you kind of push beyond what your brain thinks you can do, your brain recalibrates. And so when you get into like longer races, your brain kind of adjusts and it doesn't shut you down as quickly. So yes, you have to be physically fit. You got to put the time in and have your time on feet, but you also have to do the mental toughness. And so for this training cycle, for me especially, I'm looking for those times to be uncomfortable and to suffer. And I don't know, I think there's no way. I used to think like when I was marathoning, it's like my fantasy is that you could, if you executed everything perfectly, you'd be just like, you'd feel amazing. You'd have the race of your life. Yeah, like 1 in 100 marathons, you might get that. But the reality is you're going to suffer. And I had to learn that lesson in marathoning. And then when you transition to like ultra, like you're going to suck. It's going to hurt. Like it's going to be painful. There's no getting around that. Life will suck when you get into those ultras, and you just have to be really good at being ready for that, embracing it, welcoming it when it comes, and then figuring out how to get around those hurdles. Because when you do get into that and things go sideways like they will, you have to like troubleshoot and figure out how to come back. And like in an ultra, you can be suffering for hours and hours and then all of a sudden turn the whole thing around. So it's a totally different dynamic than marathoning. Are you just running local half marathons? You going traveling, doing somewhere else cool for halves? I'm I had for the friends of mine that I live here, like where I am, they've done like 100, like they wanted to get 100 done before, like half marathons, but they're 50. Ultras one day, or do you think, you know what, I got into ultra, like my first ultra was in Calgary. They had it was the 50th anniversary of the Calgary Marathon. And so they had a 50-kilometer distance, and they had a really special kind of buckle for that year. And I had done many marathons. And so I took that on. So that was my first official ultra, but that was like on the road. And that was kind of my toe in. And so that was kind of fun. And then the next ultra I did was a backyard ultra, which is a totally different format. If you're not, you may or may not be familiar with the backyard ultra. It's basically you do a 6.7 kilometer loop every hour on the hour, and it starts like with like typically the race I did, I think it's like 150 runners. Every hour you go out, you run the 6.7 kilometers, and then you have to be back to that starting line every hour and keep going until there's nobody left standing. And I think my first year I lasted like 12 hours or something like that. And then the next time I tried it was 2 years ago, and I did 20 hours, and I did the same one again last year. That's a crazy dumb format. Like that one's interesting because there's a lot of different strategy that comes with that, because you can't just, you got to like time it out. Like you can't go too hard. So yeah, it took me a little bit, and then I got more interested. What I've kind of learned as I'm getting older is I'm not as fast as I used to be. I ran Boston. I've qualified for Boston. I've done a lot of the majors over the years. What I found is I've learned that I can suffer a lot. So the ultras are fun because it's a different puzzle. It stretches you. It takes you into that uncomfortable spot where you still feel like you're taking yourself out of your comfort zone. Not that marathons are easy by any stretch, but just a different challenge. So that's how I kind of got into it. So yeah, and so that's kind of sucked me in, and now I've had a couple DNFs in some of the races. Some I've done okay in, and so it's kind of like I've got a bit of an opportunity now to like really get good at this. I've had a lot of road experience, not a lot of trail experience, so that's a huge learning curve for me, especially for this one in Tahoe that's coming up. It's funny, what I noticed with the ultras is that the average age of ultra marathoners is way higher. I don't know if that's just because, I don't know why, actually I don't know why that is, maybe you know, but it feels like, to me, my theory is that the older you get, especially in the sport of running, the more able you are to suffer, and the more experience you have with that, like sort of putting yourself in those uncomfortable spots. Not to say you can't be good and young as an ultra marathoner, but it just seems like there's a lot of 50 somethings out there that are really good at it and are really strong. Yeah, you should totally try a backyard. It's fun because you can decide when you're done, which is a blessing and a curse. If you do think, that's the worst part. It's as soon as you're done, as soon as you let your brain take over, you're done. And if you don't execute the strategy of the backyard really well, you're done. So you have to really, it's a totally different challenge, but it's a good way to kind of get into that, because what I notice a lot of people in the backyard ultras is they're not in it to win or try and be the last person standing, but I've seen so many people in those backyard ultras where they've never ran more than a marathon before, and they do that, or they've never ran 100 kilometers at one time and they can do that. So it's kind of cool seeing people that they go into that to like try and get this milestone, this mileage they've never achieved. And the group of runners that typically you work together, there's a handful of guys and ladies that are trying to win it, and then a lot of people are just trying to keep going. So there's a lot of camaraderie in the backyard format, which is really fun. But you get to decide when it's over, and that's what makes it so tricky, especially when it's like 4 a.m, you've been running for 20 hours and your body's starting to say no, and it's a tricky format for sure. But it does, when you work together with people, it's funny how many people, like, you can get like an extra, few hours in where you would normally quit on your own. So it's kind of cool. The other thing that's cool about the backyard format is what I've heard some guys say is it's an eating contest, because you have to get the nutrition, like, to sort of keep going for, like, the winners of these things are going like 40, 50 hours and beyond. So you have to get the calories dialed in. So I feel like one of the things I've learned in the backyard is it's a good way to go try out different, like, fueling strategies, trying to eat different things. If you're someone that's just basically did marathons, or if you survive on gels and that's it, you're probably not going to do well in that. So you have to learn how to take solid foods and have a good nutrition plan and deal with, like, heat and cold or whatever, and adjust. So it's kind of a cool way to go in and learn the strategy around the calories and how to keep that going. I see a lot of guys that will go out with food on the loops. They'll be eating, drinking a Coke, whatever, all sorts of craziness goes out there for calories to keep themselves going. And so when you get into, like, just a proper ultra, you kind of learn what your stomach can take and can't take, and that can change from one day to the next. Sometimes you love a certain thing that works for you, and then the next race, the next event, like, you absolutely don't want it. Sometimes you want salt, sometimes you want sweet. And so still figuring that out myself. I haven't nailed that one, that's for sure. Take care, stay warm yourself. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you too. This is my first YouTube live, so no idea what I'm doing. Just was saying before, if you just joined on, thank you, hello. My name's Ian. FUDNF is the channel. Ultra marathoning is kind of what this is all about. It's ridiculously cold today, so I am staying indoors. Hit the treadmill this morning, my strength workouts after work, so I don't feel like running when it's minus 27. So yeah, it sucks. Anyways, again, it's the first time I've ever done a YouTube live. So I'm probably really bad at this, but it's an arm day today. Doing some biceps, triceps, a little bit of core, and that's gonna be it. How much are you guys working out strength-wise? And how many people are there? Well, there's 2 people on, so I'm practically viral. But for the 2 people that are with me, are you runners? Are you marathoners, ultra marathoners? What's your deal? Let me know, I'll be right back.